Mr. Sinister's quest for power led him to discover that Grigory Rasputin had dispersed his essence among his descendants. Seeing an opportunity, Sinister allied with Mikhail Rasputin to eliminate all living Rasputin relatives, aiming to concentrate Grigory's essence into one host for reincarnation. Using the alias Pale Man, Sinister tracked down and exterminated most of the Rasputin lineage. The last surviving Rasputin was the resurrected X-Man, Colossus, Mikhail's brother, who began investigating the mysterious deaths in his family. However, the Rasputin brothers, bound by their familial ties and moral compass, could not bring themselves to fight to the death, preventing Grigory's full resurrection. Sinister had hoped to stabilize his own failing abilities with Grigory in power. Despite his weakened state, Mister Sinister evaded the Rasputin's pursuit and escaped. When the Scarlet Witch drastically reduced the mutant population, Mister Sinister urgently sought a solution to preserve his life's work. Gambit and Sunfire were convinced to join his Marauders, consisting of old and new members, to help overcome their conditioning as Horsemen of Apocalypse. Exodus and his acolytes also allied with Sinister, viewing him as a potential savior of the mutant race. Additionally, Sinister made a pact with Mystique, who infiltrated the X-Men as a secret member of the Marauders and recruited Lady Mastermind for their mission. Sinister foresaw the birth of a new mutant and aimed to keep this event hidden from all interested parties, including the X-Men. The Marauders systematically eliminated precogs, time travelers, and individuals with access to Irene Adler's prophetic tomes, Destiny's Diaries. Sinister personally defeated Iceman and Cannonball, preventing them from collecting Destiny's Diaries, which were destroyed in the conflict. When the first mutant child since M-Day was born, Sinister's Marauders had significant intel advantages over the X-Men. However, the Purifiers, informed by the future Sentinel, Nimrod, also knew about the impending birth. This led to a violent confrontation in Cooperstown, Alaska, where Cable managed to save the child. Eventually, the Marauders tracked Cable down and captured the baby. They settled on Muir Island, where Mystique revealed her true intentions. She had only allied with Sinister to use the baby to restore Rogue's shattered psyche. As the baby fell into Sinister's possession, Mystique executed her plan by having Sinister touch Rogue, whose powers were more lethal than ever. Mr. Sinister died instantly, betrayed and defeated by Mystique. Mr. Sinister had long anticipated his death and activated a contingency plan to transfer his consciousness into one of the children he had experimented on in Alamogordo, Charles Xavier, Cain Marco, Sebastian Shaw, or Carter Reiking. Reiking had lost his mutant powers, and Marco was immune due to his Juggernaut's helmet, leaving Xavier and Shaw as the only viable vessels. Amanda Mueller attempted to usurp the process to gain Sinister's powers, but Sinister briefly manifested in Xavier's body to fight Mueller. He was driven out and thought to be destroyed after Shaw and Gambit destroyed the machinery implementing the process. Sinister had another plan. He engineered Claudine Renko, a clone of himself, and implanted his essence into her, transforming her into Miss Sinister. To escape his possession, Renko tried to transfer her consciousness into X-23, which was revealed to be Sinister's actual plan to possess a mutant with a healing factor. However, X-23 drove him out with Gambit's help. Undeterred, Mister Sinister, who has mastered the cloning techniques, resurrected himself in a cloned body. Using the phalanx, he engineered several clones of himself. In San Francisco, Sinister hacked the Dreaming Celestial and transformed a section of the city into an all-Sinister zone, inhabited by clones of himself, produced on an industrial scale. Using his clones as a system, he confronted the X-Men, transferring his consciousness across several bodies. The X-Men destroyed the Sinister City, restored the dreaming Celestial, and prevented the Celestials from unleashing their wrath upon Earth. However, Sinister survived by hiding underground beneath Anchorage, Alaska, where he built a sinister version of London in the Moloid Caverns. Armed with celestial technology, he created clones of himself and many mutants, including Madeline Pryor. Sinister planned to confront Cyclops' X-Men, who were empowered by the Phoenix Force, as the Phoenix Five. He lured the X-Men into attacking Sinister London, and siphoned the Phoenix Force into his clones of Pryor, overpowering the X-Men. However, Emma Frost convinced the unpredictable Phoenix to turn against Sinister, resulting in the Phoenix incinerating Sinister, his clones, and his city. Despite this, Sinister survived by replacing Cyclops' public relations head, Kate Kildare, with himself, remaining dormant until after the Phoenix had left Earth.
Give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying our content, and don't forget to comment your thoughts below. Hit the subscribe button to dive deeper into Marvel, DC, and Star Wars with us.
When the inhuman Terrigen mist proved toxic to mutants, Mister Sinister sought to prevent mutant extinction by integrating inhuman DNA into mutants. To carry out his experiments, Sinister and his Marauders captured Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Magic. Their disappearance drew the attention of the remaining X-Men, who confronted Sinister and his group. Sinister deployed his only successful specimen, a clone of the recently deceased Cyclops, against them. The clone ultimately exploded due to its instability, and Sinister was subdued by Magic. The X-Men later arranged with S.H.I.E.L.D. to detain Sinister and his Marauders. Sinister eventually escaped and joined the new intelligentsia, which was interested in Kid Kaiju's inhuman monster summoning powers. Their attempts to blackmail Kid Kaiju were unsuccessful, and the group was arrested by S.H.I.E.L.D. After the Terrigen cloud was eliminated, Karnak made a deal with Sinister, offering his son, Lear, as an experimental subject, since the child could not activate his inhuman powers without Terrigenesis. Sinister kidnapped inhuman children, including Inferno's niece, drawing the attention of the Warriors. To save his niece, Inferno offered himself as a subject and provided a sample of Terrigen crystals to Sinister to recreate the Terrigen mists. Moon Girl poisoned Sinister using the recreated Terrigen mists. Although believed to be dead, Sinister, once again, escaped without a trace. When Professor X, Magneto, and Moira founded the mutant nation of Krakoa, Mister Sinister's extensive genetic database became essential for the resurrection protocols. Consequently, Sinister was invited to live on the island and join the Quiet Council, Krakoa's governing body. Krakoa faced its first major crisis when Professor X was murdered and some mutants struggled to adapt to the island's peaceful lifestyle. Sinister proposed to the Quiet Council that mutants with aggressive tendencies could be utilized in ways beneficial to the nation. Under Psylocke's supervision, Sinister was authorized to lead a team of outcast mutants, the Hellions. Their first mission was to destroy Sinister's former cloning factory, an abandoned orphanage, now occupied by Madeline Pryor. Despite their unconventional methods, the Hellions succeeded. When Krakoa was compelled to participate in a tournament against Arakko, Sinister saw an opportunity to collect more mutant DNA samples. He convinced the Quiet Council to let him lead the Hellions on a mission through Otherworld to Arakko, ostensibly to steal Arakiai's swords and force a forfeit in the tournament. Instead of risking his own life, Sinister sent a clone in his place. After obtaining DNA samples from Tarn's locus vial in a month, the real Sinister killed the remaining Hellions upon their return to Krakoa to keep his activities secret. However, Tarn and his locus vial ambushed Sinister and the Hellions to retrieve their DNA samples. when negotiations failed, Sinister escaped through a gateway locked to his DNA, leaving the Hellions behind. Recognizing the importance of Sinister's genetic sources for the resurrection protocols, the Quiet Council agreed to cover up the incident. After Emma Frost revealed that Moira MacTaggert had survived and possessed the ability to reset the timeline upon her death, Mister Sinister immediately obtained a sample of her DNA to exploit her powers. He created the Moira Engine, a set of Moira clones. By activating a clone's X gene, Sinister could create a save point in the timeline. If events went against his wishes, he could upload his knowledge into the clone before killing it, resetting the timeline and allowing him to start anew with additional knowledge. After numerous attempts and several Moira resets, Mister Sinister eventually succeeded beyond his wildest dreams. When the Moira Engine was stolen, Sinister lost the ability to reset the timeline, allowing it to proceed for 1,000 years, during which the entire galaxy devolved into chaos. In this timeline, Mister Sinister eventually regained access to his lab after a millennium, sacrificing every mutant in the galaxy and ascending to Dominionhood. However, his path was blocked by another of his sibling clones, who had ascended into Dominionhood in a previous timeline. As the timeline reset once more, Sinister began the information download, only to be interrupted by Moira. Having been with him in the now-destroyed timeline, she used the reliquary Perilous to warn Mother Righteous of what had transpired, and destroyed the Moira Engine. This critical intervention by Moira prevented Sinister from further manipulating the timeline. Captured by Rasputin, Sinister was brought before the Quiet Council, who sentenced him to exile in the pit. While trapped within the pit, the genetic code Mister Sinister had implanted in the assassinated council members was nullified by Forge, with one key exception: Professor X, whom Sinister had experimented on as a child. As Krakoa was destroyed by Orcus and mutant kind scattered, the part of Sinister within Xavier began to assert itself, piloting his body while he slept and working on ways to combat the Sinister Dominion. When Xavier discovered the truth, Sinister revealed himself and opened his mind to Xavier, convincing him not to kill himself and to work together to stop the Dominion. Sinister and Xavier devised a plan to destroy the Dominion, utilizing a no-place hidden outside of time and teaming up with Rasputin 4 and Rachel Summers. To conceal his identity from the rest of the team, Sinister downloaded his consciousness into a modified clone of Cypher. Their first attempt to prevent Enigma's rise failed, so they devised a new plan. Xavier would travel back in time to kill Moira MacTaggert before her powers manifested, preventing Sinister from using her genes to create the Moira Engine and hopefully averting Enigma's existence. The group was pursued by Enigma's minions, and Sinister had to reveal his identity to Rasputin 4 to save himself in the mission. Learning of Sinister's involvement, Rasputin prevented Xavier from killing Moira, with Rachel convincing him to pursue another strategy rather than undoing Krakoa. Upon returning to the no-place, Rasputin persuaded Xavier to allow her to kill Sinister. However, Sinister was resurrected shortly thereafter by the 5 within the White Hot Room.